Yeah. So, morning everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the client administration. Okay. So client administration. So to recap previous discussion, what we discussed about we discussed about the work process, right? So we have 7 work process, 5 plus 2, right? So in this we have discussed about the dialogue, update, enqueue, background, message server, gateway, spool. Yesterday we discussed about the spool printers related. So are anyone created the test printers in the system? Anyone? Anyone created the some printers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In
Yesterday I created.
you in the ECP, right? Or
Yes, sir.
NWD. So we have
Easy.
okay. So we have NWD also in the system to create the test printers. So you can use that NWD as well. So here we go to the here. Yes, I think we have the some. So test printers are available. You can create it, and also here. So we can also check the spool logs here. SP01. Okay, it will give the clear information of the so which dated, how many logs, what are the log files, all the information, all the spools will be displayed in the SP01 transaction code here. Okay, SP01, SP02, SPED for the spool, gateway SMGW, message server SMMS. So this will work based upon the group which will create in the SMLG, okay, logon groups, right? So then also so background jobs 36, 37, NQ, SM12, update, we know, like dialogue, we know, right? Apart from that, we discussed about the few other transaction codes as well. So how to check the logged on users list? What is the transaction code?
SU01, 04,
04. SM04.
04.
SM04 is the transaction code to check the how many users are logged into the system and everything. We can see it in the SM04, right? So that is the very important concept. So at least you need to remember the transaction codes as well. Okay. So where can I check the lock entries? Lock entries, not the log entries. Lock, LOCK lock, not the log. System lock. SM12 is for the lock entry, and if you reverse it, SM21 is the so log entries, system log entries. Okay, those we can check. We discussed about the all these transaction codes and everything. So okay, so in the landscape means so in every organization in the landscape means they have the quality system, development system, and you have the so production systems. 3 systems in a landscape actually. Why? Because all activities are separate. So this is the development. So this is the quality system, right? Quality system, and this is the so production system. So business users, they will log into the production system and they will do the all the transactions in the so in the production system. They will do the all the transactions in the so production system. All business users, they will log into the production system and they will do the transactions and their business in the system. But if you have only one system in your organization in the customer, so they cannot do development activities in the same one system, quality activities in the same system in the users also. When you are doing the development, something is happens, so users will get the unavailability errors, right? Some issues they may face it. So that is the reason if you go every organization, every customer, small company also, they will maintain the 3 systems in the landscape, which means quality, so development, quality, and production, separate host names. They will install in the separate host names. They will install the separate SIDs. They will put it out. They will install the C systems. All the development activities in the development system, then they will move to the quality, then quality to production. They will move the changes to the here, right? So this is the flow of the data flow. This is the so landscape flow, developments, quality, and production. This is the flow. But each system we have to create, we have to maintain the one client is the common client, right? Suppose 100 client, here also 100 client. Why? Because whatever the client you have to maintain in the production, same way you have to maintain across the landscape, same settings you have to maintain it. Suppose if you change something here, then you need to change it to here as well, and also you need to change to the here as well. Why? Because at final aim is, the final bottom line is, all systems should be in the same configuration. All systems should be in the same configuration. But during the installation, we have two clients, 00, 000, 001. So here also, but we cannot use these clients for business purpose to save our business transactions and everything. We cannot use these two transactions. We cannot use it. But what we have to do is, we need to create the one custom client. We have to create it. The client we have to create it. So what is that client? So client we have to create it. Other than our client number as follows, like 000 to 999. Apart from this three, so apart from that, these two remaining clients we can create it. So means we can create the 002, 004, maybe 100 or 200 or 300 up to 999 we can create it, right? Many clients we can create it. 997 clients, 998 clients we can create it, right? 998 clients. You know what? It's not possible to create the 99. No one create it. Why? Because two or three clients are enough, right? So in this case, we can create the one custom client. We have to create. Custom means we are doing the manually. We are creating. That is called the custom client. All production client. So we have to use the manually. We are creating. That is called the manual client or custom client. Technically in SAP language, they will add as the custom client or manual client in our language. Because manually humans are creating. We are creating. So this one not come with the as part of the installation. So these are the comes with the as part of the installation that we know, right? So these clients are the master clients. Why? Because it comes from SAP. SAP is our masters here. So master given these clients, those called the, that's the reason master clients. In this client, we have the master data available in this client. Master data available in this client. So that's the reason we will call it as the master client. Now that's okay. We have created the some configuration in a 000, 001. We worked on it previously. That is fine. But actual business, actual transactions, we have to do in the one custom client. We have to do it. That is the 100 client or 200 client or 300, whatever the client you create. In that client, we have to create it. So then, so now client administration will come to the picture, saying that you need to create a one custom client. So what is mean by client here? First of all, if you talk about the definition wise, so client is an business entity. If you want to do the business, you need a one client. Definitely you need a client. Sir, we have already two clients are there, 000, 001 as part of the installation. Why again we need to create the client? So in the 000, 001 as the master clients. Those are the SAP provided to us. So we cannot use those clients to create the data. So we need to use the custom client, either 100 or 200, whatever the client number. So you have to use it. You have to use it. Okay. Those are the custom client we have to create it. So definition wise, if I talk about client is an business entity. If you want to run the business, you need a client. That is the definition wise if I talk about. Then how to create the clients are. So to create the client, you need to use the transaction code is SCC4 is the transaction code for client creation. We have to use the SCC4 is the transaction code, right? Now let's log into the system. Suppose we have the NWD TST systems are newly installed systems. We don't have any new clients. So here we will create the clients here. In this clients, we will create the clients here. Okay. You need to log into the user. So go to the SCC4 is the transaction code here, right? If you go to the client administration, so these are the default clients, default data available in this clients here. So here, just go to the display change button. Here, just click on the new entry. Then the client creation form will be appeared here. Here we need to fill the details here. So client, which client you are going to create? 100 client, that is fine. So what is the client name? Maybe development client, maybe you can call it as the development. Why? Because this is the NWD for development. Okay, so city, which city? We are in the India. So what is the logical system here? So logical systems. So here we need to deploy the logical systems here. So we don't have any logical systems here. So what do you mean by logical system here? If you enter it manually, it won't take it out. So before creation of the client, you must have to define the logical system. Okay, client creation. If you want to create the client, then dependency task is, dependency work is, so logical system creation, logical system creation. So using the sale or BD54 transaction codes, we can create the logical systems. But first of all, what is logical system here? I didn't understand what is meant by logical system. So why we have to create this logical system? Client, you told that if you want to run the business, you need a client. That is agreed. Definitely, that's true. Common statement. Why? Because if you want to do the business, you need to create the one new client. You have to create it. In that client, we have to run the business, right? That is fine. We can save the data, everything. We can create it. But what about the, again, you are telling that new topic, which is confusing to me. Suppose like logical system. Client creation, fine. We can use it new client. Why again the logical system creation? Before creating the client, you need to define the logical system means. I will explain it in scenario now. So you have the 100 client here. You have the 100 client here. You have the 100 client here. The data, normal data is coming to the, maybe data coming to the outside of the organization to, so your system, right? Outside of the organization to your system. Either the 100 client it is coming, but which client? Is it development 100 client, or quality 100 client, or production 100 client? Which client this data should go? Which client this data should go? Which client? Right? We have to define some rules, right? Which client this should go. So we have only one table. The database level, database is common for the all the clients. So one client there is no separate data. The table also common. The table also common for, so table also common for the development system. There is a development database, quality database, and a production database. So here also you need so development table, one table is there here. Only one table is there for the all the clients, right? But here the data is storing here. Data is storing to the here. Which client this should store? Which client data this is? Either the 000 client, or 001 client, or 100 client. Which client data should store in this table? All the client data should be stored. Then how can we segregate? This is 000 client data. This is 001 client data. This is 100 client data. How can we segregate it? If you pull the data from the 100 client, only 100 client data should come to the in the display mode. Then how the system knows here? That's the reason, to avoid these confusions. So we have to define the logically, we have to define the logical systems, we have to define it. So that when you are each data, only one table, all the data, all the clients related data stored into the one table. So that is the main aim here. So then what is mean by logical system? We already discussed, to identify the client within the landscape, we need a logical system, right? Definition wise, maybe I will write it here, right? So what is mean by logical system here? To identify the client, we have to identify the client data within the landscape. We have to identify the client. Which client data this? So either the development, we have the four clients. Suppose development 100, development 200, development 000, development 001. We have the four clients. All these four clients data will store into the one common bucket. One common bucket, it will store it, right? So but the data will store into the bucket. but so all the data will be mixed. But when you are pulling the data, when you are pulling the data from the 100 client, only 100 client data will come into the display mode, right? So how can we do that one? So while data inserting, while injecting the data into table level, we need to define the logical system for that client, so that the client will identify, to identify the client, to identify the client within the landscape, within the landscape we need a, we need a logical system, we need a logical system. So how can we identify? The logical system means there is a naming convention for the logical system. SID, CLNT, and the client number we have to identify, so that every data insertion, so there is a, so naming convention will be followed. Suppose SID, NWD, CLNT, client 100 data. So this row is related to the client 100. So in the table, this row related to the client 000, this row related to the 400. So like that, data insertion will happen inside of the table level. Insertion will happen, so that tomorrow you want to pull the data from the this table, only 200 client data you need, then in the table level only 200 client records will be fetched and it will display into the your screen here. That's the main aim of the logical systems here. So before creating the client, you need to define the logical system. So why logical system means to identify the client. You are creating this under client, you need to identify this client. So this client related data and everything, we need to define the logical system mandatory field here. So how to create this one? Then to create the logical system, then you need to go to the BD54 transaction code or sale transaction code. You have to go to there. Then you need to delete. You need to, you know, the previous entries are there. I am deleting those entries. Here, click on the create logical system. Means NWD, CLNT. You are creating the 100 client. Then 100 client you have to define it. 100 client you have to define it. So like that, you can just define the 100 client. The name you can put it anything, but the syntax of this logical system is same, should be same here. Just click on the create symbol, so that it will be created, it will create, it will record the changes into data was saved here. Then when you go back here, then you can pull the logical system details, then the data will come to the here 100 client. Sir, I am creating the 200 client, shall I give the 100 client logical system? Means it's very wrong, right? Why we are creating the logical system means to identify the data, to identify the system within the landscape, we need a logical system, right? Definitely we need a logical system to identify the client within the landscape. Within the same system, how the data, where the data goes, either the 000 client data, 100 client data, whatever the client data which you are creating, where it should go and store it. So it should give logical system. If you define the logical system, then client can understand at the database level, it will store the data by client wise, the logical system wise, it will store the data, right? This is the way we have to define the logical system. You cannot define it here. You need to create the separately, you have to create it. The transaction code is called the, so sale or BD54 are the transaction codes. BD54, if you go directly, it will go to the logical system creation field. So here you should go to the, in this field, you need to create the client here, right? Logical system can create it. In the SCC4, you can define, you can assign the logical system to the client. Then currency, INR, our Indian currency is the INR. Then you can type like INR, right? So what is the client role here? This is the development client, right? Customization client. So then we could development. Suppose if you have built the new client, then that is the test client. You have built the production system, that is the production. You need to define the production. Which client you are defining, the client role should be differentiated. So how can you tell how the system knows I am the Ravi or I am the development system? How the system knows, right? by defining the client role. How, who you are. Suppose if your manager asks you, suppose different manager will ask you who you are means, I am the manager, I am the consultant, I am the senior manager, I am the CEO, something like that we are telling, right? So how you are telling depends upon the role, your role in the company, your designation in the company. You are explaining this self to the others, right? Then if I ask same question to this system, so what is your role in your system? 100 client, what is the usage of the 100 client here? Means by checking the client role customization. Okay, this is the customization client, the role we are defining here. That's the reason only customizations only performed in this client. That's the reason we are defining the client role here. Okay, these are the settings here, client settings. So suppose sometimes the people ask us to open the client settings, changes without automatic recording, which means it's not recorded. You can do the changes, but it's not recorded. Automatic recording of changes. People can do the changes in the system, but it will be recorded, automatic recorded. If you put no changes are allowed, no one do any changes, and so no transports, nothing are allowed. So normally in the production systems, the client settings are closed. Why? Because we cannot directly go ahead and do the changes in the production. That's the reason. So all the non-production systems, especially for the development system, why? Because we will do the changes in the development only. That's the reason we will make it automatic recording of the changes. So this is the client specific changes, client specific changes. Okay, client specific objects. Some data client specific, some data cross client, which means repository data at database level. All the clients, kind of cross client means, first of all, take the difference. Client specific means dedicated to only this client, 100 client only. So if you change the data, that is only applicable to the only 100 client. That is called the client specific data, client specific objects. You want to allow people to change it in your system, client specific data? Yes. Okay, what about the other data, repository data, some other data? That is called the cross client. Means the data is one, all the it is applicable for the all the clients. In our system, there the so two types of data are available: client specific data and cross client data. Client specific means only related to the only that particular client. Cross client means it is applicable for the all the clients which are there in the system, all the clients. That is called the cross client. That is called the repository changes. So you want to put the repository changes? Yes. Then you want to, this is means connections open, client to open for the changes. Then save it. Be careful. Okay. So done. Okay. So then client creation is done. You can see 100 client created in the system. So like that, we need to create the client here. Okay, like that we need to define the client here. So client creation we have to define in the system. Okay, so any questions from anyone here?
Yes, sir. When creating logical system, after clicking save, we got some reference number. What is that, sir?
That is the transport request number. So that is comes in the transport administration. So why this is coming to that picture means we are saving whatever the changes you are doing, you are saving into the one file. Normally, if you do some changes in the system, you will click it, save it, and the same changes you can move to the other system as well. You can do the changes, right? Same here. When you are doing the changes, that will be saved. That logical system creation will be saved into the that logical system changes will be saved into the one transport request. So same data you can move to the other systems as well, so that you don't need to manually create it again. Suppose here I am giving the NWD CL&T, the 400 client I am creating here, right? 400 client I am creating. If you do the changes, same data will be saved into the transport request number, so that the transport we can move to the other systems as well, other client systems we can move it, so that again in the other systems you no need to create it. If you create in the same development system, you no need to create it if you are using the same settings, right? So that is the purpose we are creating the transport. It automatically it will ask us. So why it is asking means we have there is a one interlinked topic after the client administration completed. There is a one topic is called the transport administration, TMS. So that is one of the big topic, same as like client administration only. So in that client you will get the some picture. Okay, so logical system. To identify the client, we need to define the logical system. These are the transaction codes we have to use it. So that's it. That is for the client creation, logical system creation. Suppose tomorrow the people ask you to close the client means you have to come to the here, then you have to close the client. Just to no changes are allowed, no changes are allowed, save it. Sometimes then if people ask you to open the client, then you have to come to the here, then you have to come to the here, then save it. So this is called the client settings changes. Client open, client close. Normally as a basis consultant, every day or 2 days once or 3 days once, we may get the request from the functional and development team saying that I basis team, can you open the client in the production or can you close the client in the production? Small activity. Then you have to go to the SCC for client to open, right? You need to make it to the changes are allowed. Client goes like no changes are allowed, something like that. You need to put into the, so you need to put the that settings in the system here. Okay. So this is the way we need to create the client and the logical systems. This is the client creation activity. Okay, got it, everybody? Any questions from anyone here?
Sir, you mentioned every department like development testing has a client. How can we from development log into quality?
How can we development log into quality? I didn't get your question.
Actually, for every development department, there is a SID,
Yes.
like the client creation.
Hmm.
If you in a quality or a production department, how can we access the data of development?
So here quality, you are defining the quality logical system, right? In the production, you are defining the production logical system, right? So production logical system you are defining. So the data is differentiating by assigning the logical system, right? By assigning the logical system. So in this way, we are differentiating the data. Okay, this is the production data, this is quality data, this is the development data. But it's not like that you are in the development system, you want to access the quality system data means that's not possible. That's not possible. Okay. So suppose if you want to access the only quality data, you need to log into the quality system, then you have to access it. So okay, suppose within the system, you have the 100 client, you have the 200 client, you have the 300 client. You logged into the 100 client. I want to access the 400 client data means it's not possible. I want to access the 200 data client means it's not possible. You are in the 100 client, you want to access the other client's data, it's not at all possible. Even your user is there in the 200 client, you want to log in with the 100 client, it's not at all possible. So that's the settings of the here. That's the setting of the here. See here, cross client object changes. You want to access the data from other clients? No. Or yes, whatever you want can do for here. No, I don't want to access. The people are in the 100 client, they don't have access to 200 client, they don't want to access my data from the means. You can put the no changes are allowed, then save it, so that the functional and development people, they won't access the other clients data from 100 client. Here we can restrict it. How can we restrict, sir? Some people, they don't have access to 200 client, but they have the access to 100 client. Then how can they can log into 100 client? They can pull the data from the other clients means they cannot. Here we can restrict the, how can we changes? Here we can restrict the changes here. So that's the reason. So cross client means other clients data changes. Client specific means same client data changes. So it's very simple. So client creation, So client is the business entity. So which means if you want to store the data, business data, definitely you need to create a client. So for that one, client creation you are doing, but while creating the client, you need to define the logical systems. So definitely you need to have the logical system naming convention. You have to define it. That naming convention properly, we have to follow the syntax. And the interview point of time, they may ask you questions. What is the naming convention of the logical system? Why we need to create the logical system? What is the client? So why definitely logical system is required here to create, to identify the client within the same system or different system. Definitely you need a logical system. Why? Because the naming convention of the logical system is SID, CLNT, and the client number. This is the we have to follow it. So that, so here by checking this logical system, we can say, okay, this is the 000 client data, this is the 200 client data, this is the 100 client data. Like that we can tell simply, right? If you don't have logical systems, all the data will be merged into the one single file. Then how can we pull the data here? How can we pull the data here? Suppose example, I will take it here, one Excel. Okay, so just for example, I'm giving here one Excel here, employee number, okay, employee name, okay, so serial number. So here it is there. So one employee number, 1 2 3 4 5, employee name Ravi. So serial number 2, so employee number, so 2 3 4 5 6, and the serial number is suppose like Latif. Okay, so Latif. So same as like here in the 3 we have 3 4 5 6 7 is there. Here I can say maybe Usha. So it's not like that all the names I'm not writing here, so don't think like that. Okay, same in the 4th also there is an employee number that is called the 4 5 6 7 8, but here same Ravi user is there. So suppose there is no client here, there is no client here, so there is no client here. If you want to, this is the table actually. Okay, this is the table here. So in the front end application side, you want to pull the Ravi user. You want to pull the Ravi user. You want to pull the data. How can you pull it here? Why? Because the employee number Ravi is there in the two sides. Then so in the 4 entries, you are getting the 2 records you are getting in the search results. Then how can we identify this Ravi is belongs to which client? So that's the reason here we have logical system number. So that's the reason we have 100 client, maybe 200 client, maybe 200 client, like that. So if you define it here, so when you are pulling the data from the database, I need Ravi's list from 100 client. Then immediately this data will be displayed into the your search result in the front end screen, right? You need 200 client results from here, then 200 client, right? So by defining the logical system, client, you are simply pulling the data from the database level. There is no confusion here. Ravi means data will be confused here. Which Ravi, which client Ravi I need to pull it. It will be which client Ravi I need to do the changes. If I do the changes here, maybe you search for this year, something will happen. Which client Ravi I need to make the, which client Ravi I need to do the salary payment. Suppose the client want to, so we are here, we are getting the confusion, right? In the table level, we are getting the confusion. So that's the reason SAP introduced the logical system field. So that when the data insertion happening to the same table, so we have to define the logical system. Which client data is this? Which client data is this? Which is defining, so that when you are making the salary payment, or so this client data, only this Ravi should go to the payment. Suppose if you don't have this column, what will happen? So system will confuse. You have to do the payment to the Ravi. Which Ravi? Here multiple persons are there. Which Ravi we have to do the payment, right? So to avoid which client Ravi, we have to do that. To avoid this confusion, so here now we are confusing multiple times, so that system also will confuse like that only. That is the reason we have to define the logical system, logical systems. So logical system will identify the data or client within the landscape. Okay, that is the logical system. Definitely you are creating the client means you have to define the logical systems like that, then only data will go insert into the table level. In the logical system format, it will go and insert into the table level. So logical system is the very important concept here. Okay, so that is the logical system creation and client creation. Then what next? Is it client administration done? Only 10% is done in out of the 100% of the client administration, right? So what about the next topic now? Once the client created, yeah,
Okay.
someone asking question.
Yeah, yeah. So they explain some scenarios. In that scenario, actually, we create the custom client now. So why do we create the logical system? Why the duplicate Ravis are there? So to assigning the duplicate files to create the custom client,
Yes.
to create the different custom clients, why we create the logical
So if
system?
you don't have logical system, how the system knows this data is related to the, why? Because in one SAP system, we can create the multiple clients, we can create it, right? Multiple clients, we can create it. And also we have the 000001 clients we have in the system. So that data is related to the, so that clients, fine, okay, fine. But what about the, you need to create the one new client, we have to create it. Why? Because we cannot do the business in these two clients, we cannot do the business. We have to create the new client. In that client, we have to create the users and everything, right? So in that case, so how the system knows? We knows. Why? Because you created, you know, but how the system knows this data is related to the this client only? How the system knows? There is some differentiation, right? There is some differentiation we have to put, right? So that is the differentiation we are putting here. The differentiation is called the, to identify the client within the landscape or within the system, we need to define the logical system. In the production, that is fine. One client, that is fine. We no need to differentiate it. But in the development in the quality systems, normally people create the 2 or 3 clients. They will create it. They will do the one client. They will put as the development client. Second client is for the testing client. Third client is for the unit testing client. Like that, they will put it out. So they have created the data 100 client that is available in the only 100 client. But they want to data in the, if they don't have the data, if they put one common table, there is one common table for everything, maybe USR 02 table. In the table, one common client, this is the one common client for the all user master records will store it here, right? 100 client users, 200 client users, 300 client users, they will put it here. So if you don't have logical system, then what will happen? You can log in with the same users, 100 client, 200 client, 300 client users, we can log in, we can do the data changes, right? Security perspective, it's a violation. Why? Because one user ID you are using, other two clients you are logging into the system you are doing. That's the reason, to allow system to log in from each and every client. So you need to log into the every client. You have to save the records to the table. You have to go to the 200 client. Then you need to save the record into the 200 client. So that while saving the record, while saving the 200 client record, it will store like, okay, NWD CLNT 200, like that. It will save that record here, right? Suppose let me show you one example here. Okay, we'll go to,
It's like instant of custom client as well, logical system. Instant
yeah,
of copy of
you got it right finally.
yeah.
Yeah, still are you getting confusion here? Just to
Okay,
identify
sir.
the data in the table level, to identify the data in the table level, we need to create the logical system. Simple.
Okay.
Why? Because we have, let me take one more example here. So this is the development client. So this is the database, right? The database level, this is the USR02 table. Okay, this is the USR02 table. This table is applicable for the entire system, not the client specific, right? Entire system, this table is applicable. So in the development, you want to create the, you suppose in the every customer in the development, they have the two clients, 100 client and 200 client for the development purpose. So you have user in the 100 client, that user will store the data into the same table. You have the user in the 200 client, that user also will save the data into the 200 client, right? That user also will save the data into the 200 client. So but you have only one table, the table is only one, but here two clients here there. Here you are creating the data that will be stored into the same table. Here we are creating the 200, that is also storing into the same table. How the system knows this is the 100 client data, this is the 200 client data? How the system knows? There is specific naming convention we have to put, right? Suppose
Yes.
two twins born from the mother, right? So how can we
Yes.
identify? There is some specific some symbols, some moles and everything, right? We have to identify. Same here also. How we knows this is the first person, both are twins, same time, same, both are in the same craft, same thing. How can we identify? So something we are putting the some identification, right? Some identification. So Ravi means, what is your identification means? A mole on the right high or left high, something like this is the my Aadhaar number is different. Both are Ravis are there. In one street, both Ravis are there. How can we identify? This salary goes to this Ravi only. So based upon the employee number is differentiating, right? Same as it like here in the system, logical system is differentiating. Okay, 100 client data will comes to the same table, but with a different logical system naming convention. 100 client logical system, 200 client data is coming to the same table with a different logical system naming convention. So that's the reason every table, if you go every table, there is a one field actually, logical system field. So that field is mandatory while saving the data here, right? Let me check here. Let me go to the here. Logical system data. So here in the 001 here, you have the 001 basis 100. These all are the 001 related client related users. So these all are the 001 client related users. Okay. So now I want to log into the same NWD user with so maybe I can put 100 client now I created with the basis user. Shall I log in now? I cannot log in, right? Why? Because there is no user. There is no user in the 100 client with the name of the basis user. There is no user. There is no user here. So that's the reason. So you cannot pull the you cannot log in. Suppose if you don't have the this field mandate field or client number field, what will happen? Every client you can log in and the same user, every client same password you can log in and you can do the changes, right? That is not acceptable in the SAP side. Every client you need a one user ID and a password, even though one system. Definitely every client you need a user ID and a password. Simply సింపుల్ చెప్పాలంటే ఆ క్లయింట్ ని మనం ఐడెంటిఫై చేయడానికి టేబుల్ లెవెల్లో అంతే, ఏం లేదు. సింపుల్ గా ఏంటంటే టేబుల్ లెవెల్లో ఓకే, దిస్ ఈస్ ద 100 క్లయింట్ యూజర్స్, దీస్ ఆర్ ద 200 క్లయింట్ యూజర్స్, ఇవి 100 క్లయింట్ యూజర్స్ అని ఐడెంటిఫై చేయడానికి ఒక నేమింగ్ కన్వెన్షన్ ఇస్తాం అనమాట. ఆ నేమింగ్ కన్వెన్షన్ SID CLNT 100. సరే, ఇలా కాకుండా వేరేది ఇవ్వచ్చు అంటే అది SIP డిఫైన్ చేసింది ఇలా ఇవ్వమని, అలా చేస్తాం అనమాట. రేపు పొద్దున్నే క్వాలిటీ ఎంట్రీస్ కూడా, ప్రొడక్షన్ ఎంట్రీస్ కూడా వచ్చి దీంట్లో పడ్డాయి అనుకో, మనకి తెలుస్తుంది ఓకే ఇది ప్రొడక్షన్ క్లయింట్ ఎంట్రీస్ కాబట్టి విత్ నేమ్ ఆఫ్ PRD CLNT 100 నేమింగ్ కన్వెన్షన్ తో స్టార్ట్ అయినవి అని ఐడెంటిఫై చేయడం కోసం సో ఈ విధంగా నేమింగ్ కన్వెన్షన్ ఇవ్వమని SAP వాళ్ళు చెప్పారనమాట మనకి. ఓకే, సో వీటి వరకు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయండి ఫర్ టుడే. ఓకే, కెన్ ప్రాక్టీస్ ఫర్ క్రియేషన్ ఆఫ్ ద క్లయింట్ అండ్ లాజికల్ సిస్టమ్. Tomorrow I will explain how to log in newly created client. Then after that what we have to do, that we will discuss. Okay, so today you can practice creation of the client and logical systems. So I want you guys to create all the logical systems, creation of the clients in the NWD and TST systems are there. You can use NWD TST systems, then create the client, then let's see. So then later then we can log into the newly created client, then we can perform the other activities. Okay, for now, just to practice the client creation and logical system creation. Okay.
Okay.